Hey now, ladies and gentlemen. Hey now, hey now. Hey now, hey now. Hey now. Hey now. Our number 3 of the line talk 99.5. And on TikTok at the Andrew Mclain. At the Andrew Mclain. If you want to get a little behind the scenes during the commercial breaks, swap over to TikTok and we're chatting with you guys. I'm mic'd up and John Bird's mic'd up during the breaks. We got our fancy new mics from Mike Chris. Ironically, his name's Mike and he's sending us mics.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Well, you know what? Doug Justice, I was looking at how cool all the names were. And I said that sounds like a superhero lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
So I drew a picture.
That's Doug Justice?
Yes, this is Doug Justice.
It looks just like him, I'm sure. Did you happen to look at his profile picture just to double check?
No, it's too small.
Okay. Well, that's fine. It's probably close.
I gave him a cool mustache and good-looking hair and big muscles.
Yeah, we gotta give a shout out to also in there, Joe Graves.
That's another name. He can be the bad guy. Joe Graves.
Well, Joe's the one that's sending us all the gifts, so I don't want to label him a bad guy.
Joe Graves is a superhero too.
Yeah, we just got 2 superheroes in there. And Joe is a logger. I asked him what kind of work he did. He says he does logging. Not like logging computer data, but like actually probably.
Oh, my gosh.
He's probably, based on that beard, he probably runs around with like entire trees on his shoulders.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. That's what I probably.
Like
that's
Paul Bunyan.
Yeah, he's like the Paul Bunyan of TikTok, basically. Today is May the 4th. So for all you Star Wars nerds out there, May the 4th be with you. I was reminded of that in the break room moments ago. I didn't even realize, which it's okay. It's not, Star Wars isn't my thing, but for a lot of people it is. And I get it. Like, it's nostalgia, but I just never watched Star Wars. I was a Ninja Turtles kid. I was a Power Rangers kid. And then a lot of the Nickelodeon stuff. But I never got into Star Wars or any intergalactic.
Yeah, Star Wars was, I don't want to say okay, but I enjoyed watching the movies, but, I didn't go crazy. I was more superhero like Batman and things like that.
Yeah, mine was Power Rangers and Ninja Turtles, and eventually wrestling was a big one.
Yeah, I went through a wrestling phase in my early 20s, I'm sorry to say. I had the wrestling figures.
Doug Justice says he is in the natural gas industry. And ironically, so is John Bird. He keeps going to the bathroom and producing natural gas.
Yeah. Oh, I got a text from the Temptations. They're just about done mixing down the song, so they'll be sending it to me shortly.
Oh, for Brown Marker Incident?
Yeah, Brown Marker Incident from the 10 o'clock hour.
The new hit song. That'll be good. That'll be good. Noto Roofing bringing you this part of the show. NOTOroofing.com. I don't want any of y'all getting on your roof and ishing your pants because you look down and say, oh, wow, I'm really high up in the air. Something bad could happen. Or maybe just you're on the roof and the IBS hits you and you got nowhere to go. What are you going to do? Take a dump in your gutters? You can't do that. You just got to fill your britches up. But you can avoid all that from happening by getting Noto Roofing out there. Have them give you that free roof inspection with the complimentary roof tune-up and take care of you. If you got problems, they'll help you file the insurance claim and everything else. These guys have got you covered from top to bottom. I'm telling you, man, best in the business. Love these guys. They support this show and have in a tremendous way that I can't even explain to y'all. But reach out to them. Let them know I sent you. 205-848-2299. That's 205-848-2299. And online, NOTOroofing.com. That's notoroofing.com. So if you're following us on TikTok at the Andrew McLean Who, or those of you on YouTube, we see you there as well. Stacy G in the house. Stacy G, what's up? Glad to see her. She's our favorite tiny dancer. Um, Tiny Dancer or Tony Danza, however you like to say it. Um, I was talking about people using the dangerous rhetoric, right? And in yet another bizarre case, we've got a Pennsylvania Democrat Senate candidate. His name's Raymond Chandler. He has now been arrested for threatening to unalive Donald J. Trump.
The list goes on, man.
A Senate candidate, mind you. It says Raymond Chandler was arrested for threatening to kill President Trump and members of Congress. Chandler left graphic and threatening voicemails detailing how he would kill a congressman and his daughter. This is, and by the way, TikTok, this is 100% a news story. Quote, don't kick me off. According to the affidavit, the court affidavit, or the arrest affidavit, here is one of the threatening messages he left to an unnamed member of Congress. He said, "Sir, I'm calling this morning because I want you to imagine a scenario. I want you to imagine a scenario where all the 1,200 billionaires in this country, all their properties are surrounded simultaneously by 1,000 people. So imagine your house, your daughter's house, everyone you know and love who is also rich. Imagine every single one of those homes being surrounded by 1,000 people. Then imagine them all getting attacked and then suddenly taking out their pocket knives, walking slowly towards your house with 10. You got your 10 guards or whatever against 1,000 people. And then they come and they pull you out of your house and they your throat and they your daughter's throat and they everyone's throat." I didn't want to say slit, but that's the word he used. He said, "That, sir, that is the future." And then goes on to, and that was the voicemail to the congressman, I guess some congressman. And then WPXI reported an Allegheny County man is accused of threatening to kill Donald Trump, and a member of Congress, FBI spokesperson, confirms Raymond Chandler was arrested by the FBI Pittsburgh and Secret Service on Friday morning. Court documents filed in the U.S. District Court of the Western District of Pennsylvania and obtained by Channel 11 give insight into the threatening statements Chandler is suspected of making. According to the affidavit, Chandler left a voicemail on April 18th for an unidentified member of Congress in which he asked the individual to imagine the 1,000 people. Chandler stated that this must happen because, quote, wealth concentration has gotten so bad in this country. The affidavit alleges that on April 29th, Chandler left another voicemail for an unidentified member of Congress saying, quote, "I want you to put that firearm to the president's head, and I want you to pull the trigger, and I want you to kill him." That was the quote from the affidavit.
Good gosh, this guy's got to end up in prison.
And he's running for Senate as a Democrat in Pennsylvania. Ironically, there's this video circulating of him doing an interview or a podcast or something. And, he's just this typical, liberal looking guy. He's sitting in what looks like some room in his house. And behind him is this baseball pennant. What do they call them? A pennant? The long, what do you call that, John Bird? The triangles. It's like the long triangle, the baseball thing. You usually get your baseball team.
Oh, diamond?
No.
Baseball diamond?
Pendant. Is it called a pendant?
Oh, pendant, yes.
It's one of those, and it just says "Be kind" across it. And I'm like, that's what you got hanging in your house? Be kind.
What?
And you're leaving these kind of voicemails. But anyway.
Gosh, man, what?
That guy was arrested. And so he's gone. I assume this means he's not going to be running for office anymore. But these sickos are out there. They're out there on the internet. They're out there at, Trump's golf clubs. They're at Trump's rallies, apparently. They're at White House correspondents' dinners. And they're even in government, or at least in this guy's case, attempting to be in government, attempting to be a senator, which is crazy on any level, state or federal. But thankfully, we're weeding those individuals out. Oh, and speaking of weeding people out, I was going to bring this up. I was going to bring this up last week, and I completely forgot about it. It is the Maine governor, Janet Mills. Okay. Now, do y'all remember Janet Mills this was sometime last year, I believe. Trump had all the governors at the White House for some sort of luncheon, right? And he was talking about all the different issues and everything else. And Democrats and Republicans were there. And he started talking about one of his favorite issues, which was men and women's sports. And he was saying, we've got a new, we got new rules. We are not going to be allowing transgender athletes into girls' sports, into women's sports. And as governors, if y'all don't comply with that, we're just going to pull back funding. You're just not going to get the funding that you want from the federal government. Well, then apparently somebody gave Trump the heads up that the governor of Maine, Janet Mills, was not going to comply. She was going to be defiant from Donald Trump. She was going to defy Donald Trump and not abide by that. This was that interaction last year between the two.
The NCAA has complied immediately, by the way. That's good. But I understand Maine. Is Maine here, the governor of Maine? Well, are you not going to comply with it?
I'm complying with state and federal laws.
We are the federal law. Well, you better do it. You better do it because you're not going to get any federal funding at all if you don't. And by the way, your population, even though it's somewhat liberal, although I did very well there, your population doesn't want men playing in women's sports. So you better comply because otherwise you're not getting any federal funding.
See you in court.
Every state, good. I'll see you in court. I look forward to that. That should be a real easy one. And enjoy your life after governor because I don't think you'll be in elected politics.
Well, and take that final statement from Donald Trump and put it in the Trump is right about everything file, because Janet Mills, the Democrat governor of the state of Maine, decided months ago that she was going to run for Senate. She wanted to be the senator from Maine, move from the governor to the Senate so she can work in Washington, D.C. and make very important decisions. Well, she has now dropped out of the race. Just as Trump said, enjoy your life after governor because I don't think you're going to be in politics anymore. She has dropped out of the U.S. Senate race because, get this, she doesn't have the financial resources, which was the basis of that entire argument, which her campaign resources aren't tied to the federal government or what Donald Trump controls. But it's ironic that the fight was going to be over funding. Trump said you're not going to be in politics anymore after your term runs out, and now she's not going to be in politics anymore. Trump's really good at that, by the way. He's so good at getting it right. And put that one on the list of Trump was right again. But here's where it gets weird. Now that Janet Mills has dropped out of the Senate race, it looks like the Democrat nominee for Maine is now going to be Nazi tattoo wearing Graham Planter. Graham Planter is the candidate that has the Nazi skull and bones tattoo on his chest.
Oh, man.
And so he would have likely, I think Janet Mills would have probably beaten Graham Planter because he's a bit of a crazy guy. Like he's a little out there. And the fact that he's got a Nazi tattoo still to this day, um, that's now the Democrats are going to be expected to voting for in Maine. Janet Mills was Chuck Schumer endorsed. Uh, she had all the support of the Democrat, well, most of the Democrat Senate behind her. And so she was a shoe-in. You know, not a shoe-in to win the whole race, but to at least be the Democrat nominee. But what's weird about Graham Planter is he actually had the support of Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. And why nobody, I think Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren were both asked about the Nazi tattoo, and they were like, well, you know, everybody's got a past. It's like, wait, everybody's got a past? Kind of like, which is why y'all were in support of, what was the crazy lady's name that claimed Trump assaulted her at a department store? What was that kooky lady's name? You know, everybody's got a pass, and you should just let that go. Unless it's Donald Trump, of course. Then we need to sue him for $45 million or whatever it was. It's crazy. But that's not even the craziest part. There's other crazy things that this Graham Planter guy has said in the past that I'll tell you about when we get back. Two o 545 We'll get you in. 545-9950. Alabama Men's Clinic bringing you this part of the show. And I just want to say, over the weekend, I was talking to Jeremy about, I'm going to get in trouble at home for talking about this, but I was just talking to Jeremy about some of their products and stuff that they use, that they offer there at Alabama Men's Clinic. And for those of you guys out there that are married, and you're looking to maybe spice some things up, there's options out there. I'm just saying. Like, and so I was chit chatting with him about that, and the different services and things, and different things, different stuff. I don't want to go into great detail, but different stuff that they offer. And I understand what they do down there, but really at the end of the day, I feel like it's much broader than I even expected, based on how many different. I mean, they see a lot of different things because everybody's different. When somebody comes in there, when a guy shows up at Alabama Men's Clinic, they've got a different story than the guy that came in before them. And so what they pride themselves on is they have somebody come in, they talk to them, they talk about what's going on, what their concerns are, and what part of their life are they trying to fix or make better or enhance. I don't think that word's used enough, but to enhance your your intimate life, the intimate part of your relationship, a part of your marriage. They've got all kinds of stuff, man, and they know their stuff too. They're so easy to talk to. So whatever it may be, if you're suffering from ED, I don't want you to be embarrassed or ashamed about it. It's just something that happens to guys as you go through life, and there's a plethora of reasons it pops up. If you're looking to um, enhance your experiences and make sure that everybody's on the same page, and everybody's enjoying themselves, if you will, or you're just feeling down and dragging and foggy all the time and everything else. I mean, I've heard stories about marriages literally being saved because of a visit to Alabama Men's Clinic. Like, it's that big of a deal. And if you're a guy, if you're a married man, and you act like the intimate part of your relationship is not a big deal, don't lie to us, dude. It's very important to all guys. Okay, don't lie to me. It's very important. So here's what I want you to do. Instead of me going into great detail about everything they do and everything they got, what I want you to do is I want you to call them up. Call them up, and you can ask for Jeremy, who's, again, that's my buddy. You can ask for Jeremy and say, hey, man, Andrew's always talking about you. This is what I got going on, or I'm looking to do this, or I'm looking to, you know, um, I'm looking to move in this direction, X, Y, and Z, and get to it, man, and get up there for your consultation. Get tested. Make sure your testosterone levels are where they need to be. If not, they can get that fixed. But they're gonna change your life, man. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that. They will change your life. Here's the number: 205-598-7000. That's 205-598-7000. And online, alabamamensclinic.com. alabamamensclinic.com. Hit them up. Let them know Andrew Mclain sent you, and change your life. I'm not even kidding about that. Bottom of the hour, more coming up. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. So you can't make this up. Maine's soon to be Democrat Senate representative, not the representative, but the Senate candidate on the Democrat side, Graham Planter, commenting apparently on a video about sexual assault. And I don't know if he just didn't know he was being recorded or what. But he says, holy F, how about people just take some responsibility for themselves and not get so effed up they wind up having sex with someone they didn't mean to. So if you don't want to be in a compromising situation, act like an adult for F's sake. So he's saying that for women that claimed they were sexually assaulted because they were taken advantage of when they were too drunk or too effed up, that it's the woman's fault. Boy, that's going to go over like a fart in church in the Democrat Party. Democrat women are going to love that. They're going to love that take. And then he said, at the same time about getting his Nazi tattoo, he said, we went ashore in Split, Croatia, and we got very inebriated, and we decided to get a tattoo, and we chose a terrifying-looking skull and crossbones off the wall. So it's a woman's responsibility if she gets too drunk and then assaulted, but it's not Graham Planter's responsibility if he gets too drunk and picks a Nazi tattoo. But hey, as we know, the Democrats will always accuse you of what they're guilty of themselves. That's their MO. That's what they do. But what do you expect? Here's what I say. Speaking of getting drunk, politicians getting drunk, at least be like this guy. You know, no, granted, he's in trouble, but this is a small-town Virginia mayor that's been arrested for showing up drunk to a train derailment, okay? So the derailment and arrest happened last Tuesday near the West Virginia border, where emergency crews were responding to a Norfolk Southern derailment. And why is there another Norfolk Southern derailment? And how often do these happen? Norfolk Southern was also responsible for East Palestine, weren't they? Where they had the
Yes, they were.
the hazardous. Well, I don't even remember what it was. It was hazardous materials that ended up pouring into the river, and it was a whole big mess.
And the government basically just ignored it.
Yeah, Pete Buttigieg showed up weeks later wearing some fake work boots or whatever it was. Didn't Pete show up and he was like, he got hammered. I don't remember exactly what happened, but Biden's EPA didn't do a very good job of protecting those people whose town is ruined for generations. You know, God bless the people that still live there. I can't imagine what they're going through, because it wasn't just, you know, polluting their water and their soil and everything else. It was the fact that their property values were now basically worthless, like, because nobody's going to move there. Anyway, according to WSLS, Rich Creek Mayor Paul Morrison was taken into custody at the scene. Apparently, jail records show the 57-year-old was arrested by deputies from the Giles County Sheriff's Office on a public intoxication charge. Morrison was later released on his own recognizance. According to the New York Post, Morrison was cuffed and booked after allegedly arriving inebriated at the derailment scene. The derailment itself involved a train that spilled soybean oil into the Bluestone River. The West Virginia Department of Environmental Protection said the oil was not hazardous, but I mean, soybean oil, is that now going to turn everybody into a bunch of soy boys? Maybe it was a Democrat plot to get people to start voting Democrat, to get men to start voting Democrat in Virginia. Just put a bunch of soy in the water, and everybody's gonna be voting Democrat. We're all a bunch of soy boys. Anyway, this guy, he won 77 out of the 106 vote cast in the town of roughly 700 residents. I guess the last election, which I don't know when it was. He was elected mayor this past November. There we go. Through a write-in campaign. He wasn't even on the ballot. He won 77 out of the 106 votes in a write-in campaign. So first of all, props to him for pulling that off. And I don't know if he's Democrat or Republican, but I think what you have here, he showed up intoxicated. Now, maybe he drove there and that's why they had to arrest him. I don't know if he drove there or not. They arrested him on public intoxication and not DUI. So it's possible he didn't drive, right? But the way I view this is you had a train derailment happen in his town in the late evening, and the dude was probably sitting at home having a few beers. But as the mayor of the town, he heard about a train derailment and said, I'm the mayor. I got to be there for this. I need to be there for my people. So even though he'd been sitting at home having a nightcap, he put his work boots on and got out there to the scene. And instead of being able to do what a mayor should be able to do, he got arrested. I personally, as long as he didn't drive himself there, I say drop the charges. Don't arrest that man just because he's out there after having a few.
Yeah, I mean, he's allowed to have a life outside of it.
Yeah.
Know?
Well, and he was out there trying to, he was doing what he should do as mayor. Now, there's no details about what, if there was an interaction that caused police to be like, hey, wait a minute, this guy is, acting erratically. He didn't get disorderly conduct or anything. He did issue an apology for the arrest on Thursday. He said, to my family, the first responders, the town's employees, town council, and the residents of Rich Creek, I would like to offer apologies for my state and any actions on Tuesday at the railroad incident. He added that he regretted any inconvenience as well as embarrassment this may have caused. I am truly sorry to have let you down and can assure you that nothing like this will happen again. Court records say he's scheduled to return to court in Giles County on July 7th, which would be Thursday. I kind of want to follow this story because I feel like this guy is, no pun intended, getting railroaded. I think you let my man go. Unless he was driving. Of course, preface, unless he was driving. Especially if this guy's a Democrat. I don't know if he's a Democrat or not, but it's getting more and more rare that you find a decent Democrat anywhere. I mean, they're all kind of just losing it all together, all at one time, right? There was, and we're in this weird spot where the only Democrats that are out there making sense are the ones that have severe medical and mental issues, such as John Fetterman, for instance, right? Another one is Barney Frank. Remember last week we told you that Barney Frank is now on hospice. Like he's days or weeks away from passing away. Like he's in bad shape. Yet he's on CNN doing an interview, like a Zoom in with Jake Tapper, trying to explain to Jake Tapper, who's not on his deathbed, why the Democrat Party is doing so bad, and that's because they moved too far left.
You are a progressive icon, but now you are expressing some reservations about where the progressive movement has gone. Tell us more.
Yes, I know. I've been trying to decide, by the way, personally, whether it's better to be an icon or an emoji. I haven't decided that yet. But as far as this is concerned, it's precisely because I have been on the left that I've undertaken this. I think we're in a situation where the mainstream, to my disappointment, for many years ignored inequality, and many of us fought to get inequality on the Democratic agenda. But the problem was, as we succeeded in bringing the mainstream of the left into a concern with inequality, we also enabled people who wanted to use that as a platform for a wide range of social and cultural changes, some of which the public isn't ready for. But even where I agree with them on the end, I think they make a mistake by taking the most controversial parts of the agenda and turning them into litmus tests. My example is same-sex marriage. Obviously, I've been working for gay rights, started in 1972 when I filed the bill. And we, in the movement to establish fairness for gay and lesbian and bisexual people, we picked to work on those issues which were more acceptable. We didn't get to marriage until after these other things had been resolved. And that's what I'm suggesting that we do today. The analog is male to female transsexuals playing sports designated for women. I understand there's a lot of anger about that, and I think in the interest of the transgender community, as well as others, it would be better to go at that in a more granular way and not simply announce that if you don't support it, you're a homophobe.
He starts to fade off there at the end and even got that death rattle.
Yeah, he sounds really rough.
But yet, he is still able to say that the Democrat Party has gone too far left. He's like, you are supporting transsexuals in women's sports. Like I said, transsexuals. And he said, if you're against it, you're called a homophobe. You've allowed, again, Barney Frank is on his deathbed. And he's like, listen, y'all have really screwed the pooch on this deal. Y'all need to let go of some of these issues that y'all are sticking with because it's making you look like a bunch of crackpots. Why is it that you either got to have brain damage from a stroke or be on your deathbed within the Democrat Party before you start making sense? Is anybody doing the math on that? I mean, is anybody within the party themselves looking in the mirror and saying, why is it that people like John Fetterman are connecting with those in the middle? Because that's what you want, whether you're a Democrat or Republican. I mean, your goal needs to be, yeah, you want to pander to your base, but your goal in order to edge out the competition is to also garner the people in the middle to get the independents. Your base is not going anywhere. The conservatives are not leaving the Republicans. The liberals are not leaving the Democrats. But the moderates could go either way. And Democrats, especially those in leadership or high-end Democrats such as Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren and Chuck Schumer and others, they're going the opposite way of the moderates. I mean, Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren are backing a guy with a Nazi tattoo. And it's like, how do you expect to get moderates like that? A Nazi tattoo? Could you imagine any Republican running for office and having a Nazi tattoo? They would immediately be forced to drop out. Immediately. Or if they said what Graham Planter said about sexual assault, saying, hey, it's the woman's fault, she got too drunk, he'd immediately have to drop out. The standards within the Democrat Party are about as low as it gets. 205 545 9950. Markway Mullen on TV talking about CBP and ICE not being fully funded amid the Democrat demands. There's something we talked about at the end of last week, and I think there's some confusion with people about ICE and CBP being funded, where there was funding for the from the big beautiful bill that Donald Trump had had set it up in a way where the money could be moved around, and that's really what's had to be done for many of these agencies, especially on the previous shutdown. I've told you about what Secret Service had to deal with and everything else. They can now get funded, but these organizations are being held hostage by the Democrats, and it should be a major talking point going into the midterms. A major talking point if Republicans are smart. I'm just saying. Speaking of people on their deathbed, like Barney Frank, Joe Biden, the Biden administration, there is a new report out there. And again, it's almost, you can't even make this stuff up, right? The Biden administration hid, and we talked about Planned Parenthood last week, right? Hid a Planned Parenthood loan discussion that they were trying to handle under the radar, so nobody knew. They were trying to get COVID money to Planned Parenthood so they could continue to, abort babies, which nobody should have been getting pregnant because Dr. Fauci told us we had to stay 6 feet apart. And unless you're 1 in 3, like John Burge, you're not going to be able to make a baby from 6 feet away.
That's right.
Statistically.
Just statistically.
You gotta have a 6.5 foot, well, I guess 6 foot 3 inches,
Yeah, to be
able to
okay, I just got that. Okay.
be able to make a baby
Yeah.
during COVID. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. What's crazy about this is the code word they used in order to hide this and keep it off the books. So Iowa Republican Senator Joni Ernst claimed last week that the Biden administration had discussed giving COVID-era forgivable loans to Planned Parenthood. This would have been the PPP loans, I guess, or whatever, and potentially concealed their activities from scrutiny with the code word Benghazi. They were calling this plan to get COVID-era money to Planned Parenthood, they were calling it Benghazi. Dead babies, dead ambassadors. You could say, you go to Planned Parenthood and the nurse in there that's murdering babies. It's like, what difference does it make? At this point, what difference does it make? The baby's dead. It's crazy. The lawmaker posted a thread on social media showing Small Business Administration officials discussing the plans via email in 2021. I mean, literally as soon as Joe Biden gets into office, they're talking about funneling millions of dollars to Planned Parenthood by giving them COVID money, right? The SBA's senior attorney messaged the agency's chief of staff to ask for a meeting on Benghazi. The chief of staff responded by saying, quote, "Yes, let's talk Benghazi." She said she asked the Justice Department to discuss the code word as a possible record concealment, which would violate federal law. The SBA ultimately gave $90 million to Planned Parenthood in the form of the forgivable Paycheck Protection Program loans. The loans were meant to help small businesses keep their employees on payroll during COVID shutdowns, but Planned Parenthood is apparently a small business. Quote, if code words were used to evade congressional oversight into $90 million plus in the COVID era loans to a top Biden political ally, there must be accountability, she said. That's crazy. And to think, so we're putting this in perspective, y'all. The PPP loans were for small business owners to be able to stay afloat during shutdowns. And Planned Parenthood, which was already getting $500 million in taxpayer money a year, needed an extra $90 million to stay afloat. Because, small business PPP loans. Got to be able to keep killing babies and making money, which that's what it's about, by the way. It's not about helping anybody. It's about making money. Planned Parenthood has always been in that business. Earnest Financial, retirewithernest.com, retirewithernest.com. My buddy David Ernest, man, is he good or what? For those of you that have talked to David, you already know how good he is at this. Protecting your retirement, making it grow. If you're 55 or older and you got over 50K in your retirement, this is a call you got to make. Let David Ernest know I sent you. Talk to him about what he does. Ask him all the questions you want. He'll explain to you the process, what they do, how they do it, and how it doesn't cost you anything. 833-596-7233. That's 833-596-7233. And online, retirewithernest.com. Don't forget about the Health and Wealth Show every weekday, 5 to 6 a.m. right here on 99.5 as well. David Ernest and his guys, they do a pretty good show.